Assalamu alaikum. I hope you all are doing good. I'm here with my first story for the series of folklore stories of Chitral, and I really hope that you will like this story because for me personally, it's always been a personal favorite. Not going to beat around the bush much, I would start with the story. The story is about a little bird and her lost pearl. So what happens is there is a little bird who's sitting on top of a tree and she happens to be making a pearl necklace for herself. So of course she's very busy and she's trying to, get hold of the pearls and trying to make this necklace for herself, very happy and excited and looking forward to the complete necklace. What happens is while she's making the necklace for herself, one of the pearls falls down. And so she looks down and tries to find where the pearl is so that she could get it back and complete her necklace, obviously. She looks down and she is not able to see the pearl anywhere. So she thinks, where did the pearl go? I need it for my necklace. So she flies down the tree and she looks around and she notices that the pearl is stuck in the middle of a very huge, dense, and thorny bush. And so she thinks, well, how in the world am I going to get it from there? So she tries to go inside the bush and take out the pearl so that she can take it out and complete her necklace. But unfortunately, she's not able to get inside the bush because it's very huge and dense and thorny. So the little bird thinks, well, I can't let go of the pearl because I need all of the pearls for my necklace. So what am I going to do? She decides to request the bush to help her out. So she goes to the bush again and she says, "Oh, mighty bush, could you please help me?" And the bush responds and says, "What can I do for you, little bird?" And the little bird says, "Well, my little pearl has fallen in the middle of your huge and thorny, area or your boundaries. Can you please, make some way for me so that I can go inside and take out my pearl because I need it for my necklace?" The bush says, "Well, why in the world would I do that for you? Because I'm doing quite fine by myself. I don't need the necklace. I don't need the pearl. It's your problem. It's not my problem. Why should I do that for you?" The little bird thinks and is not able to come up with an answer for the bush because, of course, the pearl is of value to the bird and not the bush. So she thinks, well, maybe I should go somewhere else and ask for help from someone else. Maybe someone else would be willing to help. So she flies around and she notices some fire somewhere and she goes to the fire and says, "Oh, mighty fire, could you please help me?" And the fire responds and says, "What can I do for you?" The little bird says, "Well, this is what happened to me. My pearl fell in between a bush, and when I went to the bush and asked for help, the bush said, 'Well, it's not my problem. I'm not going to take it out for you.'" So the little bird requests and says, "Well, maybe you can go and burn some of the branches of the bush, and maybe that way it can make some way for me, and I can go inside and take out my pearl." And the fire says, "Well, I'm minding my own business here. I have a lot of wood here to burn. Why should I go and burn that little bush for you? Because it's of no use to me. I don't need to do that." And the little bird, of course, is again speechless and has no answer to the fire because, of course, the pearl is of value to the bird and not to the fire. So she thinks maybe I can go somewhere else and ask for help. So she keeps flying around and she notices some water going down a stream. And she goes to the water and says, "Oh, mighty water, could you please do something for me? I need your help." And the water says, "Well, what can I do for you?" So she says, "Well, there is fire around this area of the town, and I went to the fire and I asked for some help, and the fire refused. And I'm really upset and disappointed because I really need my pearl, and maybe the fire could have, done something about it and made it easier for me to achieve the pearl, but the fire refused. Maybe you can go and pour some of your water into the fire, and the fire would realize that I did, such a wrong thing, saying no to the little bird. Maybe that way the fire would go and burn the bush, and I can maybe get my pearl." And the water says, "Well, I'm doing, quite fine myself here. As you can see, I'm going down my stream of water. I have these huge grasslands to water. I have trees to water. Why should I go out there and do this for you? Because it's none of my business. It's not my problem. It's not bothering me." The little bird has no answer to this question because, of course, the pearl is of value to her and not to the water. So she decides to fly around and search for help so that, maybe someone else out there would be willing to help and would help her achieve her pearl. She keeps flying around and she notices a cow grazing in a grass field and she thinks maybe the cow could help. So she flies down to the cow and says, "Oh, mighty cow, could you please help me?" And the cow says, "Well, what can I do for you?" The little bird says, "Well, there's this stream of water and there's a lot of water going down there. I asked the water for some help and the water refused. Maybe you could go and drink some of the water, and maybe that way the water would realize that, when the water refused to help me, it was not a very nice thing to do, and maybe they would be willing to help me after you do that." And the cow said, "Well, I am not full yet. I am still eating my grass and I'm not feeling thirsty at this point. So why should I go and drink water for you?" I mean, it's none of my business that you're bothered by what water said. I'm just doing my own thing and just let me be. The little bird, of course, was very disappointed because even the cow refused to help. And so she thought, well, there's no use requesting again and again. I should just go somewhere else and search for help. So she keeps flying around in search of help, and she notices a wolf who's laying on a field and doing nothing apparently. So she goes down to the wolf, and of course, it wasn't easy for the bird to talk to the wolf because, of course, the wolf might eat her, or anything could happen. But she thinks, well, since I need to achieve my pearl, I need to dare and I need to be courageous about this and ask for help. Maybe the wolf might be willing to help. So she goes to the wolf and she says, "Oh, mighty wolf, could you please help me?" And the wolf says, "What can I do for you, little bird?" And she says, "Well, there's this cow who's, grazing on grass in this certain field. Could you please go and scare her, maybe, run after her, do something? Because I asked her of help and she refused to help me, and I was really hurt by that." And the wolf said, "Well, I'm here waiting for the shepherd who's going to be here with his cattle, his sheep, and goats, and they're far more healthy and more delicious. I'm waiting on them so that I could eat one of them. Why should I go, chase the cow for you? Because that will just waste my time." Of course, the little bird couldn't say anything more than that because the wolf also refused to help. So she thought maybe I should just move on and ask someone else to help me out. So she kept flying around, and then she noticed a human who was out there apparently to hunt because he had his rifle and his ammunition and everything. So she thought maybe this human might be kind enough to help. So she flies down to the human, sits on his shoulder, and says, "Oh, mighty human, could you please help me?" And the human says, "Well, what can I do for you?" And the bird says, "Well, I can see that you're out to hunt. Maybe you could go and hunt the wolf for me because the wolf said no to me, and I was really hurt by that. I asked the wolf to help me out, and the wolf refused." The human said, "Well, as you can see, I'm out here to hunt, and obviously I'm not out here to hunt the wolf because the wolf is of no use to me. I'm out here to hunt the markhor. I have everything with me that I need. I know where the markhor is. I'm leading towards that, and I'm just going to go and hunt that for myself because that is what I wanted to do, and I'm not going to listen to you and go after the wolf because the wolf is of no use to me." The little bird requested, but the human was very rude and rigid and kept refusing. So she thought, there's no use staying here. I'm just going to go and ask for, help from someone else. So she keeps flying around in search of help, very desperate and very hopeless and tired by this point. When she's flying around, she notices a mouse who is just out and about and not doing much. So she goes to the mouse and said, maybe this little mouse would be kind enough to help me out. So she goes to the mouse and she says, "Well, little mouse, I see that you're not doing much. Could you please help me? I need your help." And the mouse says, "Well, what can I do for you?" So she says, "This hunter is out there to hunt and he has this leather packet around his waist where he keeps his ammunition. Maybe you could go and make some holes into that little leather packet so that the ammunition is wasted and the human realizes that, I did such a wrong thing when I said no to the little bird who had such a small favor to ask of me." And the mouse said, "Well, do you think I'm crazy? Why should I go after the human and do that for you? Because it's not my problem. I'm just out here, doing my thing, and I've been to so many houses and I've eaten so much. I'm already quite full. Why should I do that for you?" The bird, of course, has no answer to this question and thinks, well, there's no use staying here and requesting. I should just move on. So she keeps flying around and she notices a cat who is out there and just running around, and she thinks maybe the cat might be kind enough to help. So she goes to the cat and says, "Oh, mighty cat, could you please help me out?" And the cat says, "Well, what can I do for you, little bird?" And she says, "There's this mouse that I can show you where the mouse is right now, and you can go and eat the mouse, and maybe, that way you'll be full, and I'll also feel good because I asked the mouse for such a little favor, and the mouse said no to me, and I was really disappointed and hurt by that." And the cat says, "Well, you know how much work it is running after a mouse and catching it and eating it. Why should I do that for you? I know this old woman who lives nearby and she already has milk in her house and she has it in one spot every single day, and I go there every day and drink the milk and I'm full and I'm happy. Why should I run after a dirty mouse and eat it up for you while I'm not feeling it myself?" Of course, the little bird had no answer to the cat and thought, well, what can I do? I cannot force the cat to do that for me, and the cat wasn't kind enough to, accept my call to help, so maybe I should just move on. The bird thinks, and the first thought that comes to her mind is that maybe this old woman that the cat was mentioning might be willing to help. So she goes to the house where the old woman is sitting out on her front yard and making a sweater for herself and quite busy. So she goes and she sits on the porch and she says to the old woman, "Oh, old woman, could you please help me out?" And the old woman says, "Well, what can I do for you?" The bird says, "Well, this cat is on his way to your house and he's going to drink all the milk that you have in the little bowl in your kitchen. Why don't you go and throw some stones at the cat? Because I asked the cat for a little favor and the cat said no to me, and now he's on his way to your house to drink the milk that you need for yourself. Why don't you go and throw some stones at the cat? And the old woman says, well, I'm too old and tired to get up and run after the cat. Let the cat drink the milk. It's none of your business. It's my milk. I don't care where it goes. So why are you bothered about it? So the bird tells the old woman her story and says, well, this is exactly why I went after the cat after hearing so many no's from so many other people. And the cat also refused, so I was really hurt by that. And of course, if the cat drinks your milk, it's a loss for you as well. So I thought maybe I could help you out and you'll help me in return. And the old woman says, you know what, you should just mind your own business. I'm not bothered by it, just fly away. After hearing this from the old woman, the bird was extremely disappointed and by this point didn't have any energy to move on and search for more help. So the bird just decided to give up on the thought of, completing the necklace and fulfilling her wish. So she just decided to go back to the tree that she was initially sitting on and just move on with her life and find something else to do. She flew back to the tree and she was sitting on the branch that she was sitting on initially, looking at the incomplete necklace, very sad and upset. um, she just had no more hope and no more energy to go out there and look for more help because she thought, I asked, so many, people and all of them said no to me. So why should I think someone else out there might be willing to help? I should just give up on this. While she was sitting there, wind blew, and the wind, while blowing around the bird, noticed that the bird was really upset and went to the bird and said, oh, little bird, what's wrong with you? You look very upset. Is there something I can help you with? And the bird says, well, this is my story. I don't think you can help me out with it. Just let me be. And the wind said, well, no, I'm here to help you out now. You should have just told me in the beginning and I would have loved to help, but it's okay. It's not too late. I'm going to help you out. Just wait and watch, and you will have your pearl in no time. So the wind blows and goes to the old woman's house that the bird had just, been disappointed by, and goes to her house and decides to blow away all of her wool that she was working on as a punishment for what the old woman did to the bird. Once all of the wool was blown away with the wind, the old woman realizes, well, I should have just helped the little bird out. Maybe this is karma, and maybe this is exactly why, I'm having to deal with this because this has never happened before. But today that I disappointed the little bird, the wind comes and blows away all of my wool. So I should just maybe go and fix my mistake by doing what the little bird had asked for me. So she gets up and finds some stones to throw at the cat. She picks up some stones and starts chasing the cat. And the cat realizes maybe this is happening to me because I said no to the bird and she was really hurt, and maybe this is karma, punishing me for what I did to the bird. So the cat also decides to go and do what the bird had asked of the cat. The cat runs after the mouse, and the mouse, the same thought process goes on in the mouse's head, and the mouse decides to do what the bird had asked of the mouse as well. So this series goes on, and the mouse goes after the hunter and makes tiny holes in the, packet that he had around his waist. So the ammunition is wasted, and the hunter realizes maybe, the same thought process goes on, and the hunter goes after the wolf, and the wolf goes after the cow. The cow decides to go and drink some of the water, and the water decides to go and pour some of itself into the fire. The fire realizes, this is happening to me because I said no to the bird and she was really hurt by this, so I should just go and do what the bird had asked for me. So the fire decides to go and burn the bush, and this time, well, the bird had asked to burn a few of the bushes, but since the fire was so desperate and was in, in this search to fix the mistake that the fire had made, burns the whole bush down to the ground, and the little pearl was left in a pile of ashes. And the bird is watching all of this, and of course, a spark of hope is ignited in the bird, and she thinks, finally, I'm going to get my pearl and complete my necklace. So she happily comes down to the pile of ashes and takes out her pearl and flies back to the tree that she was initially sitting on. This story, as I said earlier, is a personal favorite, and I will tell you now why it is so. I think the kind of message that this story has for all of us is extremely valuable and very precious because this little bird, of course, was facing a problem, and the kind of energy she shows throughout, the whole story, and the kind of motivation that she shows, the kind of consistent struggle and courage that she shows throughout the story, I think is very, very meaningful. And I think we all should learn from this little bird because as humans, we face problems on a daily basis. Some may be small, some are bigger than that, and all of them all together sometimes drain us out, and we think we should just give up and just let go of our dreams and ambitions. But I think this little bird is a story of courage, faith, and resilience. And I think this is a moral for all of us because if the little bird can do so much for the little pearl that she needed for just her necklace, I think we all as humans are capable of doing far more than that, and we should do that for ourselves and for our loved ones so that that our lives are more meaningful, and we're able to achieve our goals and ambitions and are not set back by these problems that we face on a daily basis. I think this story is very meaningful. Of course, it's entertaining. That's one of the reasons I decided to share this. But at the same time, I think the kind of message that it gives out, I think, is very valuable. And I personally feel that the kind of message the story has is a big reason that this story needs to be kept alive, and it needs to be retold and retold so that generations, it can recall this story and find some hope in times of need. I hope you also found some hope in this story, because I personally did the first time I listened to it, and even to this day, every time I do listen to it, it motivates me to do more in life, and it motivates me to not give up. And I hope it did the same for you. So that's about it for today. I really hope that you enjoyed the story and you also found something meaningful in the story, as I have. I would love to hear about your responses and your thoughts and comments on the story. I'm really looking forward to that. And apart from that, I will see you guys soon, inshallah, with another story which will hopefully entertain you and will also help you learn something valuable. Until then, take care, you all. Allah Hafiz.